Hello. Peace, 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 peace. Did I bring my glasses out here? Oh my God. How y'all doing? So I was actually on YouTube about to do this live, and I don't know, something was like, go to Instagram instead. So I'm here, even though I was here yesterday. I try to not get on here too much because, it's interesting. But I was thinking about exploring the root chakra today and healing your root chakra. It's a conversation that I've had with a lot of the women that I work with. If you don't know who I am, my name is Zoha, and I'm a yoga teacher, a Reiki healer, a trauma-informed wellness advocate. So I do a lot of work with other women around their bodies and around healing trauma. And hi, Johnson Samantha. A lot of the work begins in our root chakra, not because it's just the base chakra or the first chakra, but because a lot of us are stuck in our root chakra. We're stuck experiencing root chakra experiences. We may experience other chakra experiences. We may live in our heart for a while. We may live in our third eye for a while. We may live in our sacral chakra for a while. But those experiences don't last long because we always go back to the root of the problem, which is that we feel unsafe. We don't have trust. We feel insecure. We are not connected or grounded. And this is work that has to be done frequently, all the time. So the root chakra is basically your first chakra or your seventh chakra, however you look at it. And this is based on a 7 chakra scale. There are way more than 7 chakras, but we're only going to deal with the first 7 that we align the the skeletal part of the body. Okay. All right. So the root chakra is represented by the color red. Okay, it is about being connected to the earth. It is about your survival. It's about your familial space. Hello, Theodore. It's about your familial space. It's about like trust and how you came into this plane, who you basically are, like your story. Okay, so when we're doing work on healing, our story is something we constantly engage. We're constantly engaging our story because we as humans move along a timeline continuum. We see time in a continuum. We don't necessarily see time as a momentary thing. So we can move to the past, to the present, and prospectively to the future, like what we want. We can have aspirational future time experiences, right? So we can't really see the future or whatever, but we can feel where we want to be in the future. So we move elementally on a timeline all the time. And because we do that, we engage our creation story often. And our creation story is basically who we are, what makes us who we are, why we are who we are, who is our family, what did we learn from those people, what traits did we take on from that event, from, being in that family space, and what traits did we shed because in reaction to that familial space. Like, who are we based on where we are, where we come from. And a lot of the times, a lot of us get stuck in that space because that story line is the storyline of our existence. We are constantly working to either improve how we got here, or to distance ourselves from how we got here, or to overcome the situations in which we've come into this existence on. Or we're battling with the fact that this is our story. Like, this is like your mom wasn't nice to you or your dad or whatever. And so you having these traumatic experiences where you're constantly engaging the story, your creation story of your parents and your family, right? All right. So that's your root chakra work. anything around that is the work of healing that, right? And a lot of times we get stuck there because those stories, we haven't really identified who we are without our creation story, without our how we've come to be. And so even if we move out of that space for a period of time, we get pulled back into it. And it's a weighty story. It's a weighty situation when you haven't figured out who you are apart from your creation story. Your creation story can still exist, and you can exist outside and inside of that story. It can be your beginning, but it does not have to define you. A lot of times we limit ourselves to defining ourselves based on what what our creation story began as. And this is where the work gets to come in. Like, this is where we get to heal our discomfort around who we are. And in my work, what I've experienced is, when I wasn't really well or okay or settled with my creation story, I could create a lot of things. I can move up into my sacral chakra. I can move up into my heart chakra. I can move up into my third eye chakra. I can move up into my crown chakra. But I would always, have an instance where I would have an incident with a family member or a piece of my story from the beginning that would weigh me down or bring me back down because I had not cleared the energy around it. I had not done the work of acceptance, of allowance, of allowing myself to accept that this was my experience, but it's not who I am. You know what I mean? It may have some defining, I may have some defining character traits from that experience, but it's not the totality of my existence, if that makes sense. So I've realized that a lot of the women that I work with are stuck in that mode, like constantly in survival mode, constantly in I can't trust anyone, constantly and they don't trust themselves, constantly in having issues with their family or arguments with their family or issues with a parent or sibling that overshadow all of the work that they've done in this realm. They could be a lawyer, have 4 degrees, be very well paid, have established a family of their own, and still that story that is connected to their root chakra or to their creation story is the one that brings them to their knees when we're in a session or weighs them down. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about how they were able to create all of these things in and with or in spite of that situation. They are still overly connected to that situation because they haven't done the work on themselves to feel valid, to feel good about who they are. Because on some level, they've done a lot of the work they've done to distance or impress those people in the beginning of their story who did not create safety for them. This was a lot of what they done was in reaction to what they were presented with when they came to this realm, not because that's what they got to do. So helping them move from I have to create my life based in reaction to the fact that my mother was abusive, or my father wasn't there, or my brother abused me, or my siblings don't talk to me, or I didn't have a family, or you know what I mean, or we were poor and I didn't eat every day. You know what I mean? We have to move the energy from that being your focus. Because you're constantly creating in reaction to that, you're going to get more of that somewhere in your life. It's going to keep showing up. And it's difficult because you haven't done, a lot of the people I work with haven't done the work around healing that conversation. They've done the work around removing themselves from that experience. Maybe they are eating every day and they don't experience poverty, or they don't talk to their mom anymore because she was extremely abusive, but they still think about it. each and every day. Even if they're not experiencing it, it's a part of their experience. Because like I said before, as humans, we get to live on a continuum. We can go to the past anytime we want. We can be in the now, and we can project or aspire to the future. Like, our mind is a time machine. It's literally a portal. We can do anything with it. We can be buried by our circumstances, or we can overcome our circumstances based on the power of our mind, based on how we use that power. I hope this makes sense for anybody who's listening. So, getting out of survival mode, right? Now, it's not a one-stop trick for everybody. There is no pill. There is no magic pill for anybody to give you to change your circumstance. It's very self-specific, because you are you. Even if I give you something, it might work for you a little bit, or it might not. You know what I mean? You might have to tweak it. You know what I'm saying? But you have to, what I find is being authentic about what the real frustration is what was going to be turn the wheel for you. Okay? So I'll give you an example. I don't have a father. I have a father. Of course I have a father, because I'm alive. But I don't know my father. I've never known my father. So for a long time, I had this other conversation about not having a dad that made me feel, inadequate on some level. And it made me very unsure around men. Okay. And so I was very easy to manipulate and maneuver in those spaces, because I felt at a disadvantage because of this experience, and it showed up in my experience. All right. So once I started doing work around forgiveness for, my absent father, because I don't know what the conversation was between him and my mother, or him and himself, that made him not be present as a parent. But I do know that I'm here. Right? So I had to find, the first thing I started with was gratitude, being grateful for my existence, because at the end of the day, he did show up for that. If nothing else, if he didn't show up for anything else, I exist. He did that part. He fulfilled that part of his contract, right? So I started with gratitude around my life. Right? And so once I got to learn how to be grateful for existing, and teaching myself how to be grateful for the fact that I'm here, I began to dive into forgiveness for him, for his inability to show up. And hi, Carmen, and not hold this invisible person captive in my mind. Right? Because in a sense, I don't even know who he is, right? I don't even know his name or anything about this person. So I am literally holding myself captive by being angry at him for not being around. So I had to release that. I had to release that anger from my space, so that I could function in a space where men were, because at first I was not able to do that because of this lack conversation that I had around having a dad. So this is what I'm saying. You have to be authentic about the conversation that you're having, that is keeping you in survival mode, that is keeping you feeling like you're not enough. You're having insecurities. You're disconnected from who you think you should be. Like, all of those types of feelings are feelings of root chakra, that your root chakra needs to be healed. And why is this important? Because that's your foundation. Your foundation, we can't do any of the, we can. You could do whatever you want, right? You could do it. But is it going to last? That's the thing. Are you going to build something that lasts without a foundation? No. A foundation is what makes it possible for you to build and extend yourself off of that, right? So that was very important for me to refine my foundation so that I can then build in the other spheres of my life. And this work is not fun. I'm not going to sit here and act like, I was dancing and singing. I did a lot of crying. I was upset a lot. I wrote a lot of angry letters to my father and burnt them to get rid of the energy and the feelings that were surrounding them. And eventually though, what did eventually happen for that situation for me, years later, after doing all of this root chakra work around this disconnect that I had with my parent, I had a dream. And I have very prolific dreams. I had a dream, and in the dream, I was sitting at a table with a man that I'd never seen, and he said to me, "Hey, I'm your dad. I'm no longer in Earth with you. I'm no longer there with you, but I'm here, and I got your back. I'm watching over you. I couldn't be with you while we were on Earth because it was some really unfavorable circumstances that brought you here, and it would have tore my family apart if I would have come to be with you," right? And I was like, okay. And he was like, "I just want you to know, you're being so I couldn't do it in my physical body while I was there, but I'm not in a physical body anymore, and I could do it while I'm here." And that was the healing that I received from that experience, because I had done the work in this realm. You know what I mean? So that was like a confirmation for me that my root chakra was healed, and that specific issue especially was healed, because I carried that anger for a long time and that disconnect for a long time. Hi. And that I needed to do the work of forgiveness and compassion for myself and love for myself in order to have the relationships that I have now. Okay? Because it wasn't just a reflection of the relationships I had with men. It was a reflection of the relationships I had with women, because I didn't know how to receive proper affection from men because I didn't have a dad. Oh, thank you so much. Sometimes I wasn't the best girlfriend for my girlfriends. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a safe space for them because I didn't know how to be in company of women and men at the same time. So I had to do a lot of healing work because of that lack conversation. And like being honest about who we are is super, super, super important to healing. I ain't saying you got to say it out loud. You don't have to do lives. You don't have to do any of the stuff that I do. But you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself about who you be. Like your shadow work, your shadow. Who are you when no one is looking? That's where the healing begins. That's where the work begins. Now, who are you when everybody's paying attention? Who are you when no one is looking? What do you say or do when you don't think no one can see you? What you saying in your head about people that they can't hear? I know, right? Any one thing or person can really change the dynamic of the room. It can. And because we don't know who we are in the room with for the most part. We're all so used to sending our representatives into the space, right? I could send Representative Zoha into the space and you'll have a great time with her, but will you know me? Right? And then when the real me shows up, that is not in alignment with who you've been taught to receive me as, then you're like, who is this? Who is this person? Right? And that's because we're so uncomfortable with our shadow. We're so uncomfortable with the things that we don't like about ourselves, or the things that are not PC. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so most of the times we don't even know who we're dealing with. That's why a lot of people get in relationships with people and it doesn't work, because everybody's only dating the representative. And then 6 months into it, you're hanging out at this person's house and you see them do something that you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe they just did this, because they've been holding up a false representative of themselves to you the whole entire time. And also, you don't ask questions, because if you start asking questions, then they can ask questions. They could question you. You have to be vulnerable as well. And the way we're taught relationship is with no vulnerability. It's with no vulnerability. We're taught not to let people in. We act like we're letting people in because we let them have pieces of our body. We buy them things. We spend time with them. But the whole time it's controlled. The whole entire process, you're holding yourself in, trying to make sure you don't do this or you don't do that because you want this person to like you. But what about the parts of you are not comfortable with? What about that? You can't cage them forever. They're going to see them. And then what are you going to say? Oh, you don't like me. No, you don't like you because you hid these parts of you. You wanted to appear perfect instead of human. And this is a part of root chakra healing. Just being okay with being human. Humans are fallible. We are not perfect. Look at the shit we doing. Look, I can name 10 things off the top of my head that's going on right now in the world that is insane. And we are responsible for it. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. We are responsible for it. Why? And people say, oh, I didn't see that coming. Because nobody is showing up as themselves. Everybody's showing up as a false identity. And it's not always a false identity. It's just more the forward identity that we prefer people to see. So I hope this helps anybody who's doing root chakra work or healing that root chakra, their survival, their purpose, who you are in the world, your creation story, where you come from. Healing that is really the first set of work you get to do anything else on this realm. Everything else you do on this realm is dependent on that work. And a lot of people are not going to do that work because it's nicer to live in the fake representative self. And people get to experience you in the way that you think that they should experience you, where they like you. You don't get no rejection. You don't get no real authentic feedback about who you are. You only hear wonderful things. And that is a false reality. It's a false reality. All these apps and everything, people are literally training themselves to live in a false reality. Like right now, I'm talking to you on my iPhone, and it's a portal that creates false realities. And we buy into them because that's what we want. We want people to buy into our false reality, right? So when people start telling the truth or start being honest about who they are, or are not fitting into the box that you thought they should fit into because they have this description around them, Then you say, oh, I don't like that person because they did such and such and such. No, they're just being human. They're just being themselves. You are tight. You live in a box and you want everybody else to remain in a box too, because the box makes you feel safe. And when people don't live in our box, it makes you feel unsafe, because now everybody can see who you are if they really look. We got to do this work. And the main reason it's so important is because the powers that be, these people who are so-called in charge of our reality, because we give them the power to be in charge of our reality, we give our power away. So that's why they're in charge of our reality. Energetically, we give our power away. If you look at the internet right now, everybody's talking about the same 3 things. That's energetic power. That's energetic power. I'm not saying don't be aware of what's happening in this reality. I'm saying don't let it run your reality. It's like you have a car, right? If you have an electric car, gas car, whatever car you got, you go fuel it, okay? And then the car goes. That's how this reality is. Whatever they put at the top of the reality for the week or the day, and then you come and you open your eyes, you open your phone, the newspaper, wherever you look at, the internet, and you see what they put up there, and then you hyper focus on it. All your energy goes there, and everybody around you energy goes to it, and we feel this reality based on what they tell us to feel this reality on, instead of doing what we came here to do. And then you get reincarnated because you didn't get what you were supposed to get while you were in this reality. You didn't do the work you were supposed to do. You leave here unfulfilled, and you have to come back and do this reality over in the same way. And that's why you get deja vu and things like that. Because you're like, oh, I'm psychic out there. No, you're not psychic. You done this 300 times. You're distracted. Okay? You're not psychic. You're distracted. You're not an empath. You're distracted. Okay? Focus on you. Do your work. We can't get out of these cycles until we all start doing the work, because we all agreed to come here. We all agreed to do this shit. Somewhere we said, sure, I'll come back. I'll go to Earth and I'll do the whole Earth experience, and I'll move the society along, and I'll help with the ascension. And guess what? You come here and you get distracted and you don't do the work you're supposed to do for your ascension or for the planet's ascension. And they come one of your spirit guys come and get your ass right up out of here. Somebody will be like, oh, they just died so randomly. No, they didn't. They didn't fulfill their contract. So someone relieved them of their duty and started their ass over. That's what happened. There is no sudden death. Death is not even real. So it's definitely not sudden. It's exacting. Everything here is exacting. Every piece of our experience is designed. There are no coincidences. You're just not paying attention to the patterns. We didn't agree to come back. We came back to fix what we failed to do in our past life. Yes. 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 You're on a rotation until you get it. It's like you're a nurse with a 36-hour shift that never ends. I agree. I am the supreme. I agree. We are definitely in here for the long haul. And so, I know a lot of times people think when people talk like this that they're crazy, right? But everybody can't be crazy. If it's only 10% of us that believe this, 10% of us can't be absolutely bonkers, right? we just clearly are picking up on something that a lot of people either can't pick up on or don't want to pick up on, because yes, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to know that you have to do something different, to do the work, and to not just go along with this reality, not just do it the way that they're trying to design it to be done. It is exhausting. And you know what I realized too? Hi, Ace Paper. Hi, everybody coming in. You know what I realized too is when I was talking about my post today about getting distracted by delusions, right? A lot of our delusions are heart-based, are people we love. A lot of our distractions are people we love, people we came to this realm with, that we love deeply and dearly. Because those are the only things that are going to distract us from what we came here to do. And it sucks. It sucks. It could be your mama. It could be your daughter. It could be somebody you really feel connected to. And just when you're on your path and you're doing exactly what you came here to do, peace, and you're doing exactly what you came here to do, here they come. Here they come. And if you pay attention to the pattern, you'll see they always show up when you on your grind, when you moving shit, when you're paying attention, when you're in the flow. Here they come. Here they come. Just like I said, just like that lady in the red dress on the Matrix. Here they come, distracting you, knocking you off your damn beam, keeping you looking around instead of going forward, bottling up your time for some shit that don't got nothing to do with why you're here. And you'll think, oh, they're my family, or I love this person, so I have to help them. No, you don't. What were they doing when you weren't helping them? They were helping themselves. Okay? They're on their program. Their program sometimes runs interference on your program and knocks you off your shit. And if you, to be honest, you can look around at the people in your life and you can pick out the people in your life. Notice the pattern. Notice it. It's a pattern. Especially significant people in our lives. They have always gotten you into some space, into a situation, into something that put you on a path that you would have never went down. Would have never went down. You would have not even looked that way. But because you love that person, because your heart is available to that person, you're susceptible. You're susceptible. And it's frustrating. It is. It is frustrating. Because it's like, they're not going to stop. Their part of their programming is to disrupt your programming. That's a part of their programming. And your heart, because you're in this human body, is going to want to do it. It's going to want to reach out. It's going to want to make the connections for them. It's going to want to save them. It's going to want to keep them from them harming themselves or whatever the thing is that they got going on. But trust me, you cannot do it. Their design is to be chaotic. And when they show up in your lives, they bring chaos. I be paying attention, man. I don't always catch shit, but when I catch it, I'm on it. Peace. Dapper Haru. So just pay attention, y'all, and release yourself from those. How do you get unsusceptible? Don't respond. Do not respond. Period. Shut it down. You don't even have to block. You don't even have to, don't respond. Do not respond. It hurts. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It hurts. The person that I have to do this with is my sibling. It hurts. And we have a huge trauma bond. We've been through a lot of pain together. So it is innate in me to want to reach out and grab this person, make sure that they're safe. And that's what their design has been my entire life. They would get in some shit, here I go running right behind them, trying to make sure they don't, and then I get fucked up. Okay? Now, when you choose to make the decision to go help them, it's on you. You're changing the course of your path. I will. You're changing the course of your path. That's their design. And it's okay. It doesn't make them a bad person, right? But sometimes we come into this realm with people are born into our families that are our natural, I'm going to say enemy, but that's not the word, okay? What I want to say more than enemy is, because they're not your enemy. I don't want you to think like you have to go to war with them. They are your, like, anti-you. That's the best thing I can say. Like, they are the part of you. They are you, but they are a part of you that would not, that has difficulty, that is trapped, that can't transform in a certain kind of a way. They get the ideals, they get the concepts, and you might even see them walking down the road that you walk at some point in your life. But they will never go all the way down that road. They will get halfway down that motherfucker and turn back each and every time. And you will be watching them and be like, I cannot believe this motherfucker did not go all the way down the street. And if you ain't careful, you'll be out there trying to butter their ass up to get them down the street. And the whole time, your path has been diverted. And now you got to start over. And I'm not talking about at level 1. I'm talking about level negative. Like, all the work you put in to get where you was when they showed up is now trash. And it's fucked up because you got to do it all over again. If you don't realize the cycles and the patterns, you will not even notice it. You can really, I'm telling you, it's they have a beacon on them. They can feel like when you're doing what you're supposed to do, when you're going the right way, when you're about to break past a limit that has been a limitation for you, here they come. Like, and you can tell because you could taste it. You could feel like your shit about to change, about to go into like another existence. And it's like some like noise or beacon goes out to them and they just show up at your doorstep like, hey there, I need help. And then you spend the time that you would have had enjoying the work that you put in working for them. Don't do it. Mind your business. Mind your fucking business. For real. Because you cannot save them. Okay? You cannot save them. They don't want to be saved. That's the other thing. They like the chaos. They revel in it. And I'm going to tell you how you know they do. When you're with them, you like the chaos too. You having a good chaotic time. And then you have like a, you know, how you get your little devils on your shoulders, God over here, devil over here, and your God be like, hey, you know you're not supposed to be doing this. And you like, let me get back to my shit. Let me get back on my ding. Let me do what I'm supposed to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. Mind your business. I'm telling you, it's hard. Mind your business. He said, oh, no, you did. Well, don't worry. If you did it already, you can always start over. But don't forget, Don't forget. I'm just telling you because all the signs are always there. All the signs. If you even look at it when they show up, you will notice you're doing a certain thing that you're always doing when they show up. The same certain people are in your space that are in your space when they all the time. You're accomplishing something, or like you're at the pinnacle. Like you've done something that you've been working towards, like really hard. And there they go. The detour. And it's always going to come in the form of someone you love, because they're the only people who can reach you when you've gotten to this point of believing in yourself and trusting yourself. They're the only people who can get through. Because you fuck with yourself too much to fuck with somebody who don't fuck with you, or who you don't fuck with. And it sucks. Especially if it's your kid or your family member. And a lot of us will go out for our kids. We are. I'm trying to do my best work right now to separate myself and be a parent and be a guide, and not let my children try to make their life my life. You know what I mean? And it's hard because I live in a black body. Right? This is the experience I chose, though. I chose to come here and live in a black body, knowing that this would be challenging on some level, right? Not understanding the full challenges, okay? Now, there's a huge challenge when you have children and you live in a black body in this realm, okay? We got to do a lot of work around safety and survival and understanding different things going on here. And you have to do a lot of work around allowing your children to have their own path. And it might not be a path that you choose for them. And it might not be a path that resonates or feels good for you. Even if you instilled in them all of these amazing things. We see it all the time. We see people say, oh, they was raised so good. Their mother and their father always gave them everything they wanted. And da-da-da-da-da. And da-da-da. And the kids turn out, they just have a different kind of soul. Their soul came here to do some other shit. It ain't come here. They were here under your protection and your guidance while they needed it. But once they left that, they had to choose their own path. And that's hard. Because we think of ourselves as our children as extensions of us. Not as just people. You know? So, yeah, do your work. And do your best to heal from those creation story conversations that have you living in your root chakra, always in survival mode, can't pay your rent, don't know where you're going to eat, don't know where you're living, don't know who you can trust, don't trust yourself, because that's the shit that's going to keep bringing you back down to the bottom each and every time. There's plenty of yoga you can look up on if you're interested in yoga and you're open to yoga. You can look up YouTube. Plenty of root chakra yoga practices you can do, poses you can do, high intuitive movements. There's plenty of affirmations you could do. I am safe. I am secure. I am powerful. I put one up in my story today. I am financially secure. Now, do you have to do work on the other sides of these things? Yes, you do. You have to do work. But the work starts here first. This physical realm is mastered by our mental mind, by our mindscape, right? You can't do anything that you don't believe here, right? And belief is only the beginning. You start at hope, right? Which is a whack-ass feeling, because hope brings suffering. So you gotta get past hope. Most people live in hope for a very long time. You gotta get beyond hope. So then you'll get to belief, where you're affirming and believing. Then you got to even move past that, because belief is passive, right? Somebody could disprove your belief. You got to move past that. You got to get to faith. Faith is it. I have faith. That means you trust instinctively that things are going to go the way you need them to go. And even when they don't look like they're going that way, you trust that that outcome is on the other side. You're not moving in reaction, because belief will have you moving in reaction. When you see some shit not going the way you want, you're like, oh, I believe, but then well, let me make it. Let me make it go the way I think it's go. No, sit the fuck down. Have faith. Trust. Put the work in. If you did everything you're supposed to do on your end, let it fucking roll. Let it roll. If it don't come out to that outcome that you desired, then it wasn't time for that. And we get to accept that. You have more work to do. You have more space to grow to get that outcome. We live in a physical realm that gives us results based on the work we've put in mentally, spiritually, and physically. It is all of these things have to go into it. So when you don't get what you want, you have to be like, oh, what did I not do? Right? Where was I not faithful? Where did I not surrender? So if you did all the physical shit, because a lot of times that's what we focus on. I did the physical shit. I do. But you didn't have faith in your mind that the work you was doing was going to bring you to the other side. You was in doubt the entire time you was moving. That's where you need to work on. That's where you need to work on. If you are spiritual and you ain't doing your spiritual work to move your life along, and that could be feeding your ancestors, that could be daily prayer, that could be meditation, that could be being in communion with the earth. It looks different for everybody. Everybody has a different prescription. Everybody don't have the same prescription when it comes to spirit. It's different, right? And some of us don't even have the same prescription when it comes to physical. Some people don't have to do any motherfucking thing. Some people just have to talk to a person. That's doing, but they don't have to physically move their body. All they got to do is talk to somebody and the other person to do it for them. Some people have that kind of energy where they can speak to another person and make them move for them into the spaces that they want to be in. And they can get their names in the rooms that they want them to be in. Okay? So the healing is not no one size fits all thing. Okay? So I'm never going to say that on my page. I'm never going to be like, do what I do and you're going to get these results. That's a fucking lie. It's a dead ass lie. Okay? Because my spiritual teacher told me some shit that she did. I wouldn't even have the guts. When I tell you, I wouldn't even have the guts to do the shit she did. But her faith is different than mine, and that's why that shit worked for her. You understand? You understand? My faith not where her faith at yet. So she could do some shit that I would be pissing on myself trying to do, and I wouldn't get the results she got, because I don't fuck with me like that yet. I'm still working on fuck with me at the point where my spiritual teacher fucks with herself. You understand what I'm saying? And this is why I have a spiritual teacher, so that I can move differently in my life. I could see actualizations in somebody that I trust. And I always tell people this: when you're doing any spiritual work, every teacher, every healer, every guide, every person out here on these internet streets that's advising you need to have an advisor. And they need to have a list of people they've learned from. Yes, you can be born innately with a gift, but how do you develop it? Who's helping you develop it? You need to be taught to develop your gifts. Okay? I don't fuck with people who don't have teachers. I don't. You can't tell me how you learned what you know, or I just know it and I'm going to point to myself this thing. No, sir. No, ma'am, because that's not how that works. Yes, you can intuitively know something, and you need to get somebody in this physical realm to help you master it in this realm. Yes, spirit will innately put things in you, but that does not mean that you're going to be able to move it in this realm. That's not how it works. So, the fact that you're projecting this energy is everything. Oh, thank you, Intuitive Moments. I appreciate you. Y'all, I'm this person. When I have a Mercury in Cancer, that means I speak from my emotional space, from my heart center. When it's dry, I stop talking, y'all. It's done. My tongue is done. It's over. I hope y'all have a good rest of the week. And hey, baby. And that, you manifest. I don't like to say manifest because it's not manifest. Everything is already here. Okay? There's no manifestation. Everything already exists. That you align with it. Okay? We're not creating shit. We're not manifesting shit. You here. So whatever you want is already here. It's already here. You just gotta line up with it, okay? You just gotta get to the point where that energy interacts with your energy, okay? You just gotta level up. So level up. Get on your Masters of the Universe shit, and I'll holler at y'all, okay? Take care of yourselves. All right. Peace, y'all.